After extensive research into slasher film openings, general film openings, and the slasher genre in general, Poppy and I found what conventions to expect from a typical slasher film. We researched a mixed variety of film openings, such as Love Actually, The Matrix, Four Lions, Friends with Benefits, Napoleon Dynamite, With an Island Eye, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. What we found was that the majority of these films, they use similar conventions, despite the genre difference. For example, about 5 of these 7 film openings included an audio bridge of a non-diegetic soundtrack from idents to titles, and which were carried on for about 30 seconds to 1 minute into opening scenes. We adapted this convention to our own film opening. We chose a soundtrack on GarageBand to start as soon as our titles started, and to end when our intertextual film within a film ended. However, after receiving a number of comments on this from audience feedback, we decided to extend this non-diegetic soundtrack further to play throughout the whole of our film opening. We realised that this was much more effective, and it did fit in with some of the horror film opening conventions that we looked at. For example, from watching and researching into Trick or Treat films opening, we saw that the non-diegetic music soundtrack played for a total time of 3 minutes 32 seconds, and which 42 seconds of this was played just over the titles. Another convention we found and used from Trick or Treat was the way in which the representation of the main vulnerable character was portrayed. For example, in Trick or Treat, the main character is represented through his bedroom, mise-en-scene, hairstyle and clothing. We try to signify our Scream Queen character's vulnerability through her teenage pink girly room and long blonde hair. However, we also use a tight strappy top and revealing pink shorts for her costume, which also signifies that she is sexually active to really emphasise the Scream Queen character. Another convention that we researched and developed was the idea of having a phone call between the Scream Queen and the killer, and also how the communication is represented through a television screen. After researching into any unique conventions that we could find used in horror films to help give our film opening a more modern appeal to it, we found the idea of the killer phoning the Scream Queen character from Scream and decided to develop this further. We decided to warp the voice of the killer by recording our own voices and using an app to give it a deeper, sinister effect to it. We got the idea of this from Saw, as the character's Jigsaw also does this. We also adapted from Saw the idea of having the killer on a television screen to really give it a postmodern appeal and attract an audience of teenagers to young adults. Our titles and title card were inspired from research into the opening titles from Scream. The title cards in Scream are represented with a white-coloured serif font, highlighted with a subtle red effect, and placed on a black background. When the title card in Scream is shown, there is non-diegetic sound effects played over the top of noises from a phone and screams. We decided to adapt this idea as it seemed very effective. In our film opening, we tried to use very similar effects for the titles and found effective phone sounds and a scream in Final Cut Pro, which we layered over the title card. However, for the title card lettering itself, we developed the idea further by animating the lettering of Liar so that it looked like it had been written with blood on the screen, and animated blood dripped down from the word.